Hey everyone, it's Joe Waxman, and I'm back with another video. So today I want to talk about, I'm going to do the astrology of Madonna, famous singer. Now I'm not really a fan of Madonna, but this is astrology. It's not really about my personal preference. It's about learning from people's charts. And, as always, I think celebrities are a great way to do that. It's interesting because we get to see their lives play out in front of us on the stage, and then we get to look at their charts. And it's a great learning tool. So regardless of if I like her music or not, or I like her character, I think it's worthwhile and interesting to look at her chart. And I never really liked her music, too poppy for me. And her character, especially as she's gotten older, is disturbing and kind of outright creepy. I just need to say this. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, like, the most recent, I think she did a TikTok where she's like my parents' age. She's 70 something. So she's like an old lady. And she should look like an old lady, but she's gotten so much plastic surgery and God knows what, chemical injections and, fake dye, fake everything, that she looks, almost like she's young, except the reality is that she looks just outright creepy. And then she does like this, like disgusting, 70-year-old, gross. Anyway. Oh my God, that's funny. I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah, she's so gross. But anyway, she's super famous. She's like, big in Japan, I hear. Yeah, whatever. She's gotten all these awards. She's like best-selling female artist, solo artist of all time, stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Anyway, it's like, okay, what's up with Madonna? Who is she? Why is she famous? Why do we even care? 16th of August, 1958, 7:05 a.m., Bay City, Michigan. All right, so like, some people have commented, like, oh, well, she's got no planets in her 10th house. Like, how could she be so famous, right? All right, well, let's look at this. First of all, Sun in Leo. So Sun's really strong because Sun rules Leo. It's in the 12th house. 12th house is all about the arts and creativity. I mean, it could be different things. I mean, we see presidents with 12th house stuff. So like there is about secrecy, behind the scenes, stuff, things like that. But for somebody like Madonna, both Leo and the 12th house, both deal heavily with creativity in the arts. And she started out as a dancer, then went into music and actually played drums and guitar for a band, which is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty cool. Does give her some credence, I would say. And we can see that with Gemini, MC, ruling her 10th house. Gemini is very skilled and wants to do everything, like Prince, right? Prince was a Gemini sun and he did everything. So the Gemini MC in her career, she's going to want to take control. She's going to want to do everything, which she pretty much does, or most things anyway. But yeah, so like 12th house, super strong, right? Because it's got the, Leo sun, super strong for creativity, anything creative. And it's got all these other planets in here that help her out, starting with Venus. Venus by quadrants in the 11th house, but by whole sign house, it's in the 12th. It's definitely influencing the 12th house. Venus and Leo, 0 degrees. And Venus and Leo is really, you really see this with women especially, is they've got that style that is big and, wants all the attention, and like they like all the different things, and you can often see them with furs and leopard prints and just like, luxurious, just like attention-seeking style that's just very big and bold. And like aggressive in a Leo way. Just like, look at me, look how, beautiful and voluptuous and, excessive I am. It's just that kind of thing. And hers being 0 degrees Leo, it's really, planets at 0 degrees go way out of bounds. They just go to extremes because they're kind of like the baby in that sign. Like they just don't know what the limitations are. So there's been plenty of examples of planets at 0 degrees that just go to the nth degree. And so with her style, she's gonna take it to the nth degree and just push it to the limits. We see that with her music. She was very, revolutionary in that sense. So the fact she pushed the boundaries, she pushed the envelope. She created a lot of new trends and styles and things like that. That's very much having to do with this Venus in Leo in 0 degrees, at 11th, 12th house. 11th house would deal with career success. So there's definitely that. Yeah, and then we also have Uranus. Uranus is the rebel. Uranus is completely unique. Uranus is like it just scoffs at the idea of following anyone or anything. It's like, you expect me to follow you? Like, because you got to remember that Uranus is the co-ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius is opposite Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. So opposite the sun, we have opposite and in a sense equally as bold is Uranus. Uranus has this quality that, and I know this because, as I've said many times, I have Uranus conjunct the ascendant, so I understand Uranus really well. And I think a lot of people don't understand Uranus well enough. Uranus has this confidence, it's not like Leo's egotism, but it is a superiority that is, because it's outside the realm of Saturn, and it's the first planet that's outside the realm of Saturn. So it's like looking at everything that's Saturn and below as beneath it, in a sense, not in an arrogant way, although it can appear arrogant if it's immature, but it is above and beyond the whole world, basically, Uranus. The idea of Uranus, the sense of Uranus, it's this energy that is just like peering down at everything. It's like, your rules don't apply to me. Your rules do not apply to me. It's not in an arrogant way. It's just because I'm beyond Saturn. Saturn enforces the rules for all you guys. For me, it doesn't apply. It doesn't matter. I'm not part of your, routine, your games, your charade, your laws, your rules. I'm just above that. That's Uranus. So it's just like, it's above and beyond all the rules, and therefore it's not going to follow all the rules that keep everyone in line. That's for everyone besides Uranus, right? Uranus is above and beyond that, so it doesn't follow. It's my point, and it's completely unique. And it's just like, whatever you guys think, cool. You guys are like, grade school, high school. I'm graduated. I'm way beyond that. Like, you guys play your little, play your games, do your little things. None of that applies to me. I'm doing my own thing. Just leave me alone. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm way above and beyond you. That's what Uranus is. Like, honestly, it's way above and beyond everyone else. Obviously, there's plenty of everyone has Uranus in their chart, but where it is in your chart, that's where you're just like completely independent, above and beyond all the everyone else, the whole world. So that's in Leo. That's influencing her sun, even though it's not super close. It's still there. It's still in the 12th house. So her creativity is very unique, right? It's just like, I don't need to reference you guys. I'm above and beyond you, because that's Uranus. So she's just doing her own thing, like as far as like uniqueness in her creativity, in her music. I left Pallas Athena in here. It's a minor asteroid. It probably doesn't do that much, but it's adding influence to this whole, creativity. 12th house is also dancing. Like, she wanted to be a dancer, right? And she dances in her videos or whatever. So, Pallas is adding to that. Juno is also adding to that. Well, Juno is actually in Virgo, but so then, yeah, basically we have four planet stellium in Leo. Even though Venus is kind of wide, I'd still say it's 4 planet. And then we come to our ascendant in Virgo, and we got Pluto, Mercury, Ceres, which is minor asteroid again, and then Moon. And then this is super powerful again. Why? Because Mercury rules Virgo and is exalted in Virgo. And loves being in the first house. It's extremely powerful. You know, some people will be like, oh, it's in the 12th house. Yeah, okay, fine. But it's so close to the ascendant that it's basically conjunct the ascendant. So by whole sign house, it's in the first house. It's retrograde, but still, you know, I don't think that's detracting from it much. And it's got the influence of Pluto. And Pluto, although technically in the 12th house, it's in Virgo, so, you know, 12th first. Pluto in the first is very powerful. I mean, it's powerful in the 12th. I have Pluto in the 12th, but this is in between. This is definitely influencing her ascendant. Pluto in the first is very powerful. They can't be controlled. They like the control. They like the power because Pluto is that power and control, right? And you know, like one good example I think we can all relate to is Dave Chappelle, Pluto in the first house in Libra, right? He's got this very diplomatic thing about him, but like you can't control him, right? He quit his own show because it just got to be like too whatever. Probably, I don't know. I mean, he probably didn't disclose all the details, but they were probably, like he even said that they were trying to control him because once you get to a certain level of fame, they just want to control you. That's what Pluto will destroy everything especially if it's not being met on its terms. Like Pluto wants evolution, spiritual evolution, basically, and it'll bring crisis. It'll destroy whatever, you know, is in its way to get what it wants, including itself, you know, because it has that regenerative ability, right? So it has that creative, destructive, power control kind of thing going on. Like I said, Mercury is here, making very strong first house. And then Moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo is really good for the creative arts. Like in itself, Virgo is not very creative, but because it's opposite Pisces, Virgo lends the critical eye and the ability to refine the creativity because she has all this creativity from the 12th house. Actually, the Virgo Moon really, really helps refine it. Virgo anything, Virgo Mercury, Virgo Pluto, Virgo Ascendant. She's got like, it's just like that perfectionist standard, that ability to be like the critical, like I would say Libra is the judge, but Virgo is the critic, right? So between these two, like, you know, and then she's got Libra. Libra's the judge, fairness, balance, you know, but Virgo's the critic, and you can't get past that critical eye with Virgo. Just being able to see all the details and everything that's wrong. If it's just pure creativity, it's just not going to come together. You're going to need somebody to sort out the good from the bad, you know, the stuff that works from the stuff that doesn't. That's Virgo. You know, pure creativity is just endless creation, and it's not really differentiating between quality and non-quality, right? That's where Virgo comes in. Also Libra too, to a large extent. So that's really powerful. So it's like, you want to know why is Madonna famous? Well, here's a big clue. Got all these planets with dignity in the 12th and first house. You know, Mercury is strengthening the first house, excellent. Gives her excellent intellect, writing ability, wit, and then the creativity is coming from the 12th house, the Sun, the Venus, the Uranus, especially those three. And then Mercury's ruling the 10th house, the MC, so coming to her, you know, her career as her. And she's like, you know, solo artist, Madonna. She's single. She wasn't born, her parents didn't name her just Madonna, but that's very much having to do with, you know, the first house being so prominent and strong, and Sun and Leo as well. It's that you know, a solo thing, you know. We see fame, you know, coming from the first house, also the seventh house and the 10th house, largely those three things. Sometimes the fourth house was like powerful empire, especially a physical empire, like buildings and things like that. Let's see. Saturn is interesting because Saturn is stationary retrograde. Right? She has no out of balance planets, but Saturn is stationary retrograde. She got Mercury and Chiron retrograde, and Saturn is stationary retrograde. And planets that are stationary are very powerful, very potent. Now, Saturn's not in great dignity here. It's not terrible, but it's not great. But it is retrograde. It's stationary retrograde. Retrograde planets behave differently. And fourth house deals with upbringing, childhood, mother. Her mother died when she was young, and she grew up with her father, and she resented her father. But she was a very good student, and she was weird, which I'll get to that. That's Chiron opposite Sun. But I think Saturn here really pushed her. It wasn't comfortable because it's not in good dignity, but because it's stationary, it served her really well as far as like pushing her out of the home at a young age to pursue her career, her goal, which was creativity in the arts and being this self-made, self-styled person, you know, Madonna. Yeah, that's the way I see it. Plus, it's part of this grand fire trine with yeah, starts with Uranus, Pallas, Sun, Saturn, and then Lilith, and then I guess South Node also plays into that. And this is interesting. South Node conjunct Lilith. Lilith is the sex symbol. South Node is what we came in with, what we're born with, what we're natural at, right? And here's the eighth house of sexuality, death and rebirth in Aries. Aries is very much about, you know, the individual, the person. This says she's like very much a sex symbol, right? From the get-go. And just in the Wikipedia, like I just read the Wikipedia about her. She was a flirt in high school. Like she was a weird flirt. Like she would lift up her skirts for the boys, but she also didn't shave her armpits, right? Chiron opposite Sun. Chiron's wounded healer, but the reject, when especially young, goes through a phase of being just a weirdo reject. So Chiron opposite Sun makes her weird. Yeah, so she was weird, but a sex symbol at the same time, a weird sex symbol, right? Go figure. And then she did have, it mentions in the Wikipedia, one time in New York, she got held at gunpoint or knife point, I can't remember, I just read it briefly, and was forced to perform fellatio. That's very much about like, you know, Lilith in Aries in eighth house. You know, it's just very, like eighth house is crisis, among other things, but sexuality. Lilith is that kind of femme fatale sexuality. South Node gives it this, like a lot of natural quality, like she doesn't have to try, right? Eighth house is also about power and control, bringing in that Scorpio, Pluto element, right? And she did, that was, I think, a very strong, especially in Aries. Aries is very selfish or self-oriented. When she was young, it was all about like power and control. Like even though she went about it through music and arts, it was very much about power and control. I don't know, like, first of all, you can see it through her, you know, just being naming, she was one of the first people to just call herself a single word, Madonna, right? And I think that's interesting. That's very, there's so much arrogance and ego, you know, Leo Sun, Uranus and Leo, all this first house stuff, and then South Node in Aries. It was just so much about her and her ego and her person, like just this confidence, this egotism. I'm not knocking her. I'm just trying to explain it well. Like even though I don't like her, I'm just trying to be unbiased about it. when she was young, that's really what it was about. Also, like power and control. Like she wanted to do everything as far as I know, like in her career, like she wanted to just take control of everything. That's also about Gemini MC, because Gemini is just good at everything. Um, jack of all trades and all that, master of none. But then she's also got North Node conjunct Jupiter in Libra in the second house. And we know second house deals with voice. She was a singer. So Jupiter in the second house makes sense. So does North Node. But as she gets older, she's going to be much more about fairness and balance and equality and justice. And she kind of did take on this social justice warrior kind of thing, like the liberal Democrats, but it's really kind of, corrupt in my opinion, especially because the Democrat Party is quite corrupt. But anyway, regardless of that, North Node Jupiter. North Node Jupiter can actually take on a teacherly role. They can become. I think Alan Watts had North Node Jupiter, but yeah, they can become, speakers, teachers, things like that. I don't know. She actually, there is like an academic. I just read in Wikipedia. There's an academic study of like Madonna studies or something like that. That sounds insane to me, but that kind of reminds me of North Node and Jupiter. But anyway, North Node in Libra, these people will tend to become much more fair and balanced and relationship oriented as they get older. Whereas when they're younger, they tend to be quite selfish. North Node in the second house, especially with Jupiter, would indicate a lot of wealth as well, which I'm sure she has a lot of wealth, right? Yeah. And then we also have Mars in Taurus in the ninth house. Mars in Taurus is not great, right? It's opposite its rulership in Scorpio. Mars in Taurus tends to be non-confrontational, just because Taurus is not a sign that moves very quickly, and Mars wants to move. So they tend to avoid Martian things, which are, confrontation and initiation. She is, I would say, very initiating, but that has to do probably with all these planets in the first house. But, certain things like confrontation, she probably avoids. And then when Mars gets angry in Taurus, it gets very angry. But in the ninth house, Mars can be very adventurous, right? Because Mars is physical. Ninth house, among other things, is adventure, travel, long distance travel, adventures. Taurus, nature, natural things. So she probably likes to go on hikes in nature and things like that. Mars is ruling the eighth house and the third house. But with the eighth house deals with occultism and things like that. Eighth house and the ninth house. Eighth house ruler in the ninth house means that her belief system is strongly influenced by eighth house things. And so this says she's an occultist. Her religion is occultism. And I think that literally is her religion. I think she's kind of like, she bought into the whole Hollywood satanic thing. I could be wrong, but I think I get the feeling like that's where she's at religiously, philosophically, because it's bringing in that eighth house element. She's probably into astrology and all the other occult stuff, which I'm into as well. But I don't take it as far as like I'm not a Satanist. Like I don't believe in God. I like to understand God. It's not like I believe in God like a static thing. It's like I like to understand God and have a relationship with God. Anyway, yeah, I don't get a good feeling about this, especially knowing what I know about her. Yeah, makes me think that she's into the darker side of occultism. Yep. What else? Oh, the Virgo thing. I know that she practiced macrobiotics because I actually know her personal chef. The macrobiotics, Virgo deals with health. Macrobiotics is about health. My father teaches macrobiotics. I was born and raised macrobiotics. I have a great love for macrobiotics, so a great understanding of macrobiotics. So I get that. And I do know her private chef or her ex-private chef personally. I've met her, Mayumi Nishimura. So I know that she does that. That's very much all the Virgo influence. In the sixth house influence, Chiron is a healer at the end of the day, even though it starts out as a reject, weirdo reject. It's also a healer and a teacher. So sixth house would definitely, Chiron being in the sixth house would show like strong healing potential, everyday mundane, practical reality, sixth house stuff relates to Virgo, so health, things like that. Again, it's opposite her sun, so she's very much into health. Yeah. What else can I say? That's pretty much it. Jupiter ruling the seventh house and the second house means that her partners are like assets to her, which is funny because it's like she collects husbands, right? As trophies. Well, she'll marry a valuable husband. Her husbands will be very valuable, in a sense. I think they've all been like famous people. Anyway. I can't think of anything else to say about Madonna for now. So I will leave it at that. Oh, wait. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Mars. Mars is square Uranus, so that's kind of explosive. Mars square Uranus. So I think she can, even though this Mars is a very stubborn Mars, doesn't like to get agitated. I think she probably can get quite annoyed and explosive and angry and irritable. Yes. And Neptune is square Venus. So Neptune square Venus means she's kind of delusional about relationships, a great creativity with fashion, because Venus here would be the fashion indicator. Neptune would be a huge indicator of creativity. So it's not a smooth connection, the square, but it is still a connection. So it's giving her this very imaginative creativity, right? Just adding to her creativity a lot. But her romantic inclinations are going to be delusionally based. One moment initially she'll idolize her partner, and then she'll be totally disillusioned, and just it'll go the other way. She'll think that they're disillusioned, like she'll have a negative opinion opposite of the like demonize. She'll demonize her partner eventually, right? So yeah, she'll be very confused about her romantic inclinations, but creativity wise, yeah, it's good because you don't need to be realistic when you come to creativity. Like the more out of bounds, the more ridiculous and just extreme you are with all that, then the better with creativity. Especially if you have Virgo and Libra placements where you can sort out the details and refine it and pick the winners from the losers. So anyway, that's it for Madonna. I'm gonna stop sharing, and yeah, if you want a reading, go to my website macroastrology.com or email me at macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. You know the thing. All right, guys, I'm out. Bye.